Well, here we are again. How exciting! Two Perth girls today. Welcome, Francine. Francine O'Rourke, I've known for a really long time. And it's always so exciting to be around Francine. She has really great energy and has done some amazing things in her life. And I think when did we meet each other?
Oh God, it was like 25 years ago, I think, I don't even know what event it was at. I think it was at one of those rat race. Did you do the rat race game with Harry someone or other, Harry Merton or something?
I'm not sure. So a Robert Kiyosaki event in some way, maybe. Yeah. I don't know, but it's a long time ago. And like a lot of people, we sort of drop out of each other's lives. We have children, we run businesses, we get really busy. And then you contacted me, you said, hey, what are you doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was reflecting over my life and just thinking about all the mentors that I'd had in my life and some of the people who'd really impacted me. And I was like, I've got to get these, I've got to interview them and see where they're at and what's going on and thank them for the journey I've been on. And you were the first person I contacted because I've had your telephone number without ringing it for like 11, 12 years. And I was just like, I just started sending you a text message. I thought that's ridiculous, and so I just rang you and just said, hey, let's get on the phone and on live and talk about what we've been doing for the last 25 years.
And doesn't 25 years go fast? But before we go there, let's just put that on hold for 1 second and tell us what you have. You're a Perth girl, but what have you done and what are you doing now?
Okay, so my name is Francinne Rook and I'm a mindset and personal mastery coach, as you know. And so what I'm doing now is really getting on the speaker circuit, and I'm out and about and talking to people, and really what lights me up is being in a room full of people and really helping them to have aha moments and just to start shifting their mindsets a little bit so they can do life differently. And so I'm doing a lot of that at the moment, and one-on-one coaching in person, because I've been an online coach for the last 6 or 7 years, and it was time for me to get out from behind the computer. So COVID, everyone went behind their computer screens, and I jumped out from behind mine and got personal again.
Very exciting. Can I ask you, what was the defining moment for you that goes, I need to help other people. I need to be of service. I need to have a bigger purpose here. What was that moment? Do you remember?
Yeah, look, my parents, they really left behind a legacy. And so with them, they made money, they had successful businesses, and then they had the opportunity to help other people. And I really loved that. I wanted to be able to help other people and to help entrepreneurs get started as my parents did. So I've always wanted to do that. And I was always seeking, searching, looking for the answer to being me. Why am I on this planet? What am I doing? And so I've done so many things, from being a scuba diver instructor to real estate, to hospitality, to marketing, and all of those things. And each time having my own business, I've been a serial entrepreneur with my businesses. And it was just like, when I had my child, I just went, I've got something to offer. I want to do life differently. And I want to take everything that I know, everything that I've done, and how can I help other people? So that was my defining moment about how am I going to do life differently? Because my life can get really busy, and I love it. And, I get so much done and I achieve so much. However, when my child came along, it was time to do things differently. And so to be able to kind of filter and everything that I can offer other entrepreneurs about my trials and tribulations, I've been able to distill and then turn it into my career.
Don't you think it's fascinating? And this is where we go back to that 25 years is, don't you think it's fascinating that when we become mothers or fathers, that a switch gets turned on inside of us?
Yeah.
I remember when I was standing I tell this story all the time. I'm standing in my kitchen in the country. That's where I was living. And I have a little 4.5-year-old and I have a newborn baby. And the tears were streaming down my face. And I realized I can't be the mum that these girls need in the state that I am. I am emotionally not growing up. I am not emotionally intelligent. I don't have the skills. I have to go and re-skill myself. And that for me was my defining moment of how can I become, as you said, more authentic? How can I be more me? But at that point, 40 years ago, 37 years ago, it was like I had no clue what that meant. But there was that switch turned on inside of me. And even though I've waxed and waned throughout my life, since then, I've done a lot of self-education like you, specialized education. And I think that that's where the mentoring comes in now. And there's so many people doing it. But for me, it's like those mentors in my life were so important that there was somebody to model, because I didn't have anybody to model. And I realized that when my babies were babies. What about you? Tell me the story about your mentors.
Well, for me, so when growing up, I knew that I wanted to achieve something. And for me, I really wanted a mentor to show me the way. But the thing is, I was too frightened to ask because I kept thinking that I had to have all the answers. And so I had, I had this yearning, this craving inside of me to get help and support, for someone to walk beside me and support me in some way, so that I wasn't doing it on my own. And but yet I was too frightened to actually reach out and ask for help. So my father died when I was 15, and that left a really black hole in my soul. And I put all my feelings about that and everything into a box on a shelf and was too frightened to even look at it. So when I came and met you, because you are my first real mentor, and the gift, the absolute gift of that was to see that I could go through stuff, that I could open that box and I could start looking at me and who I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. And I wasn't going to fall apart. I wasn't going to die. I wasn't going to dissolve and just be irreparably broken by looking at this stuff. And it was just such a gift, a freeing gift, to be able to go through that journey and just start, peeling back the layers and just having a look at, what was my purpose? What did I want to do? Where did I want to be, etc. How did I want to approach life? What was my mission? And so that was, you were very much my first mentor, and gave me permission to be me. Isn't
that permission like so? It's a very big word. What did that mean to you? What did that mean to you when you stepped away from that program and you go, okay, well, now what? Because I think that's where we're at right now in 2022. Is like, we have all of these programs and you can be this and you can be that and find your authentic self and find your purpose. And it's very cliche now. Whereas when we did it, when I was doing those programs 30 years ago, it's like people would say, what are you talking about?
Interestingly enough, people still say that, being a mindset coach, because everything is mindset. That's what it starts with. We come up, we've only got our way of doing life. That's the only way we know. And we will keep doing life, for better or for worse. We will keep doing life that way until we've had enough of the pain that we cause ourselves. In certain areas, some areas will be kicking goals, and some areas could do with a little bit of a fine tune or a zhuzh or a complete overhaul. And that's when we go seeking. And so for me, with being able to help people kind of crack that open, and to crack myself open, to give myself permission to do it differently. And when I talk to a lot of my clients, it literally is, I say to them, what if you stop doing whatever it is for 3 months? What if you just put it on the shelf for 3 months? And they're like, wow, can I do that? Whatever it is. Can I do that? I'm like, yeah. You know, and they're like, wow. And they literally walk away and they said, thank you. I didn't realize that I needed someone to give me permission so that I could give myself permission to move forward. It's powerful.
I want to open up that word permission, because for me, what I've learned over the years is being able to have that permission and then taking it. Then we start to bump in. Well, then not only how do we want to serve, what are the experiences that we've had, but we also basically need to be living our life logistically between work, family, ourselves, our inner world, our relationships with not only ourselves but other people, like as in relationships, conversations, being present, our food, our diet, our exercise, our spiritual world. There's a lot in there to balance. Yeah. And I think that word balance is like the foundation of giving ourselves permission, if we know how to balance. And that was why I called this, is balance real? Because I think it's very connected to mentoring, self-empowerment, leadership, successful business, the amount of money that we have, the types of thoughts that we have running through our heads. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on really what is that word balance to you when you're thinking about when you're mentoring people, but also whilst you're being mentored.
Yeah. Look, for me, again, it's all energy, and a word that I resonate with. I heard someone talk about it a few months ago, and I like it, is harmony. And so what's balanced for one person is not balanced for another person, or it's different. It is all looks different. So when we look at our wheel of life, so everything that we want to put together. So when we talk about our, balancing the work, the money, the health, the spiritual well-being, the personal growth, tidying up the house, looking after the kids, having a relationship, etc., we'll find that there's certain areas that we are spending a lot of our time. However, for me, I know that when I spend a lot of time in one area that may not be a priority, then other things start coming out of balance. And so I know that there's certain areas of my life where at times I need to put that energy in. I mean, to spend a couple of weeks really focusing on that, like when I'm doing a business launch or something. And then I can pull back and just let it run. And then it's time for me to refocus and put more energy into another area. So it ebbs and flows for me about where my energy needs to go. And I know that when I'm out of balance is because I can feel it. My relationship with my partner will start getting a bit icky, and it's all his fault, of course, says my mind. And those are just, that's my litmus test. That's my alarm bell going, okay, so spiritually, I'm expecting other people to be making me happy. Whereas I know that what it means is I've probably dropped off my exercise. I've probably dropped off my spiritual and, my meditation and things like that just center me every single day. I probably dropped those things off, and then parts of my life to start just not feeling as fun as I'd like them to be. My child starts becoming an inconvenience, and things like that. Yeah.
Yes, I think that word fun and the word transition for me is how do I transition from my work to my grandchildren, to my daughters, to my husband. And that to me is the act of balancing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, sorry.
And that it's the time that I give myself to go from one to the other.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like then that then starts to give me more awareness about the vibration that I'm in, the thoughts that I may have had or are having, or am I bringing something from my work into my grandson's space? Very hard to do that for a 1-year-old, I might add, because they're so hilarious, but very easy to do to a 40-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And so for me, it comes back to me is how can I transition from my space of my work into my daughter's space?
I love that.
space.
I love that, because obviously nowadays with a lot of people working from home, and I work from home, and that whole crossover that can happen, and it is really important to transition. And I talk to a lot of my clients about that. With introverts especially, it's easy to be able to have that delineation, because when introverts are working with other people, as you know, they can be drained by people, whereas I'm an extrovert. So people, the more people, I'm like, woo, and I've got energy. And so for them, it's about go spend 5 minutes in nature, have a cup of tea, just do something, just do 15 minutes of exercise, whatever it is, just to help that transition. Because I know that for me, what can happen is when my child is home, I just want 5 more minutes to do something. And then poor habits start coming into play, because I'm on my phone, which means I'm distracted. I'm not with my child and things like that. And I haven't transitioned. And so I completely love that word and really hear you. And it is about, I make that conscious effort 5 minutes before I have to go and pick up my son. I pack everything up. I probably change clothes because it's now time to go and pick up my son and take him to the park. And so that's my right time to set and on to the next part of the day.
And I think that word set it helps me, that word set. And while we're talking about this, if you have any comments when you're here, comment, what is it? What do you believe balance is? Are you a mentor or are you a coach? If you're a mother or a father, I actually believe you're a mentor.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, we are mentors when we are adulting, when we are being with anybody that we want to or we choose to influence. I actually think we're mentoring 24/7.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and a really interesting thing is I went so that I can be the best role model for my child that I can be. I'm a lifelong learner. So yesterday I actually attended some kids coaching. And a lot of people were there to coach kids. And I was there because I was like, well, I'm a mum and a coach, and I would like to be able to coach my child better. And it's really interesting, the phenomenons that we're dealing with nowadays is the fact that a lot of kids are not being able to recognize facial expressions in the ages of 2 to 4 from their parents, because before it was with the COVID mask, because they couldn't see, all they could see was the eyes. And now it's because parents are hidden behind phones and talking to their kids kind of like this. And so they're literally on their iPad or their phone, distracted from their children. And so children are not learning to understand angry faces, happy faces, sad faces, and getting those facial cues to be able to help them with their personal, with their emotional development. So it's really interesting, this phenomenon that's now happening because of the way that we are doing life, because we are distracted when we are with our kids.
And I think I love that. I hadn't heard that before, but I can totally get that, because we have a new generation of COVIDs happening right now. And I do in my family, 2 little boys. One is 2 and a little bit, and one is 1. And even though they never saw us with masks on, because, unless we were out, but most of the time when we were in their houses or they were in our house, we had no masks.
Yeah.
But I can understand that could certainly be happening. And the other thing that I get is that our parents are parenting to a book. And so they're always looking to see, well, what's the next stage they're at? What can we be giving them to be better? Rather than looking at ourselves and looking at our parenting and looking as to who we are. And yet there's so much information about how to be authentic, finding your own purpose, getting on mission, doing your goal, all of that stuff is being put into small mini courses, long courses, short courses, you name it. But these kids somehow are, I believe, in a way, not being able to really just be kids and learn the way kids grow. And I think that is coming from how I parented. I shared with my kids that they could be anything and do anything.
Yeah.
and that life will be easy. And if you do a good job and you are a good person, that life will be good. Well, that's not necessarily the case. You know, there are struggles, there are challenges. We do need communication skills. We do need to be lifelong learners.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's why we have so many kids on ADD drugs. It's like, are we really allowing our kids to be kids? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And are we allowing them to be kids because we at times are having fun, like you say, you know, we have fun and we transition very nicely and with awareness of this is who I am. For me, I'm DD when I'm with those kids.
Yep. Yeah, which is absolutely fantastic. And it is about, again, you talk about transition. It is because kids learn through playfulness. And what happens is as we become adults is that we forget to be playful. And one of the things, a really key thing that I picked up yesterday was the fact that often as parents, we approach the process of raising our children as we do a job. So it literally is, right, what do I need to do next? Rather than being present and playful and interweaving the learning and tying the shoelaces and problem solving with Lego and things like this, and interweaving all of that, we get into, right, these are the rules and this is the way things need to be. And we're trying to structure kids who most of them haven't developed the whole thing of consequences and things like that. They don't develop often until they are 25, and we're all into consequences and 1, 2, 3s. So we're using our adult brain to try to rationalize with kids, and kids often have a much higher vocab nowadays. However, doesn't mean that they understand what's actually is going on. If you say, you know, what does it mean to be, I don't know, if you're embarrassed, what does that mean? And they're, I don't know, you know, what does it mean to have respect for other people, even though they've just said the word, you know, it's very important to respect your playmates. And you say, well, what does respect mean? And they go, I don't know. So it's we're using the layer of coming through our filter of being adults to try to build kids, and we're calling it's work in our mind. It's work. It's just another thing to tick off the box and get right, rather than just being and having that balance of being, you know, when you're at work, be at work, and when you're at home, be the you know, learn through play, teach through play.
And I really love the piece that you said, that sometimes when you go to pick up your child, you change your clothes.
Yeah.
And I always do that when I go to see my grandkids. If I'm in work clothes, I will change my clothes to runners, pair of, you know, active wear, and I'm in play mode. I can sit on the ground. As soon as I see them, I'm on the ground with them. Yeah. And how can we do those actions when we're transitioning from a boardroom, which I can be in a boardroom and then I'm going to an on-site. So I often put on the hat, put on the boots, and change the bottom part of me, because it really then helps me to be more, you know, detailed and more conversational and listening, rather than a boardroom table where I'm often presenting. It's very different energy. Yeah. So what can I do to make that transition to give me more balance while I am mentoring?
Yeah.
I think it ties in. There is a flow that ties into that we often don't see, because we are mentors. I think that's the bottom line, that we often don't acknowledge that we are mentoring 24/7.
Yeah.
And what are then the skills that we need when we are mentoring? And then when we are being mentored, there's another whole energy of listening, observing, awareness. The energy of where are you? Are you able to absorb some of those, maybe even criticisms or new pieces of information? Yeah. And let them just sit there for a little while, because you don't know if you want to use that yet.
Yeah. And I love that, because it's again, it's the mindsets, and it's being intentional about where you're at in that moment and being aware of who you are. Because I know for me, when I first started getting mentors, it was, again, I gave them permission to tell me the truth. I was someone who didn't like to be criticized, because if I was criticized or critiqued, then that meant that I was wrong. I had my identity tied up with, if something failed or didn't succeed to the way I thought it needed to, then I was a failure. And so to be mentored was something that it took a lot. I had to take a deep breath and sit back and say, I'm prepared to let someone tell me the truth and give them permission. And I was vulnerable. And the real gift with that is the fact that I now can see me. Because I couldn't see me before. I mean, a lot of people do 360-degree feedback things at work and things. And a lot of people get really affronted. They're like, oh my God, I'm not like that. I'm not that person. You are. And then tomorrow you'll be different. But to be able to actually see yourself and get to know yourself, it's about putting on that mentee hat and saying, right, now I'm ready to learn. Because and sometimes as a mentee, I know that when I'm with my partner, it's about taking a deep breath and putting on my mentee hat and saying, I'm prepared to listen. I'm prepared to listen and to listen to the feedback, because often I know that with a lot of my clients can be so reactive, especially to their partner, because their partner will say something and that's immediately translated, because we've got our filters. And it's immediately translated, isn't it, into, you're telling me I'm a bad person. No, I'm just telling you, I'd appreciate it if you took the rubbish out, whatever it is. And so, to be able to intentionally transition is really important, to have that balance and to not feel guilty you're not working, not feel guilty that you're not being the best parent that you think you ought to be, etc., etc.
Yeah, I walked with a girlfriend this morning on the park, and she was telling me a story of her husband and how she had left him food, and she just said, put it in the oven, 25 minutes, pull it out and you can eat it. And it was a pie. And he told her the next day that it was the worst meal that she had ever had. And she was out doing a painting class. Yeah. She said she felt so guilty that she was out having fun and he had had a really bad meal. But then she discovered that he had put it in the microwave. So, of course, it was a pie. She didn't say put it in the oven, the gas oven, which then would make it nice and crunchy. She just said oven, and he put it in the microwave. It went all squishy, which microwaves do. You shouldn't use microwaves at the best of times. And I said, so fascinating, where women will automatically go, it's my fault.
Yeah.
And I often find, even when a mentee says to me something that this didn't work with it, I will often go, wow, I must have described it incorrectly. I really, feel like I want to take them through that exercise again, or go and, reshape that conversation or situation again, because I feel as if it's my fault. And so I go very wrong, right. And I think that wrong, right attitude, to be able to just sit there, like you say, and go, this is what's being said. And that's their perception. And how could have I done it better? Or, no, I actually did a pretty darn good job.
Yeah.
And I think that right there is transition.
Yeah.
Is, are we able to sit in that space of nothingness and hear and feel? And I know that that's got at the moment, to be in the moment. But what does that really mean? And for me, it really means to be able to be in that space of awareness. It is something, it's awareness without any judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether we are mentoring, which I think we are 24/7, or whether we are having a conversation, which could be called being mentored, being the mentee.
Yeah.
And that right there is the balance. So it's another whole vibration for me, that word balance, rather than juggling. actions, juggling, the logistics, juggling what we have and what we don't have, and our inner world and our business, and it's a very different vibration to be aware of, am I really here?
Mm.
With no judgment, just with no judgment.
Yeah, just awareness. I love it.
Yes, and really it's so simple, except it's not.
Yeah.
Because we do have all these other things, like what you were just talking about with the kids and the mask and the non-recognition and what I was saying about the parents doing things by the book. And it's like, what book? Somebody just wrote this on a PDF, or somebody wrote it in a book. It's simply their opinion.
Absolutely. And yes, and there are as many opinions as there are noses. So everyone's got one. And and there's one thing. There's a book called Toddler Taming, and when my child was a toddler, he's now 6. I was actually reading that, and I was going through, and I was pulling bits out of that and training my my students on, just because whilst it was great for toddlers, our emotions can often, our way of doing life can often just mirror that, especially our inner child. And the one thing that I really love from that book, it talks about that we have attention, which is A to Z. So we've got A, which is our absolute 100% in the moment, pure attention, 100% focused on what's going on right here, right now. And then there's all the different levels of attention. So up to Z. And so just for an awareness for you is just to literally say, in any moment, where am I on the, a focus alphabet? Am I giving an H right now? Because we know that for children to be happy, they just need 10 minutes a day, morning and then evening. If you give them 10 minutes of pure A grade attention, they're off and running. But if you're giving them 2 hours of H or Y level attention, then they're going to be needy, they're going to be acting out, they're going to be doing things wrong, etc. And then everyone's going to be unhappy. So it's the same for children as it is for your staff, as it is for your friends, as it is, because people can feel it. They can feel when you're distracted.
They absolutely can feel it. And I think that was the other little segue that I wanted to go, is we are all mind readers.
Yeah.
Whether we know it, believe it, even want to go there, we are all mind readers, males and females. And we do have this intuitional bar inside of us that tells us, is this person for real? Is this person being, is this story real that they're telling us? Are they coming from a space that really has that deep experience? If you're being, especially if you're being paid as a mentor,
yeah.
Do you really, really know what you're talking about? Are you really, really being present?
Yeah. Yeah, we do an exercise of that with so in coaching, when you're actually learning to be a coach, and you've probably done this many times yourself, and it's that whole thing of trying to have a conversation with someone and the person's pretending to be distracted and they're on their phone and they're this, that and the other, and you're feeling in your gut, you're feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling not heard, you're feeling you just want to just not be there. And and I know that I've seen that when sometimes when I'm with clients, they will come and they've got the weight of the world on their shoulders. They've literally come running. They've turned up to have a mentoring session with me, and they are everywhere. Their mind is just all over the place. And to be able to help them just center, to be in that moment, to be able to take time for themselves and give themselves the gift of time to be able to see where they're at, get that self-awareness, see what's going on for themselves, to then make decisions that's going to help them move forward the way they want to move forward, rather than just doing the next busy thing that's in front of them and ticking the box. Yep, I've got a mentor, I'll just tick that box and I'll see them for half an hour and then I'm off. And you can see when sometimes people are completely overloaded because you're halfway through a session and you can see they're already starting to think about where else they want to be rather than being fully present. And so a gift, I think, as mentors, that I know, and it's a gift that you gave me, is to get that focus and to look at what is actually important. You know, all the minutiae that we put into our lives, the granular things that we look at, with all those, you know, the plethora of emails and things like that take us out. What are the 3 things that are important right now for me to be focusing on? The 3 things. And when they're done, then what are the next 3 things? Or one thing, which is so important, I think, is just that focus. You know, what is my purpose? What is my purpose right now? Yeah.
And I think our purpose right now is to hear each other. Because when processionally, and that's a principle that I teach a lot, and you may remember that, but processionally, if we can be really present with who we are and just allow ourselves to speak from our experience, the people that are listening or who will listen get that silence, get that space, because that space, I think, is the magic. That's when the magic happens. That's when we can actually transition to the next thing, to the next thing that we're going to do, whether it be listen to nothing.
Yeah.
And I know, I think that to be able to take that deep breath and go, okay, I am totally present here. And that is the balance right there. And I'm reading a book. Well, I've read it now. I'm actually reading it for the 3rd time. It's still on my desk. I would recommend this. I've actually put it into the Connect Your Dots book group. Okay. This man has done research on how we breathe and why we breathe, how we chew, why we chew. It's a fascinating read in the way that he's read it. And I understood all the way through the book. It made sense to me why people find it harder nowadays, and I'm talking thousands of years, to be present. Is because we take in too much air. We don't have enough our channels through our sinus and through our nose. We often all breathe through our mouth, so that's way too much air into our lungs. And so then we don't take enough air into our bodies that is filtered through our nose.
Okay.
And so we end up with a lot more anxiety, arthritis, mental anguish, which I think is very different than anxiety. We're not able to focus. We go from one thing to the next. Whereas so many examples that he gave, he's a scientist, he's a doctor. The stats come out of his, you know, the book reeks of the stats and the tests that they have done and the studies all over the world that shows that this is one of the main reasons why we find it difficult to focus, is we actually don't have, the airways are not big enough any longer. And so we need to start to train ourselves to breathe and breathe through our nose. It's a fascinating read. And I would highly recommend that book. There it is. Highly recommend that book to anybody who's interested in any level of consciousness.
Yeah.
Because I think that really did add to me. And as I say, it's the 3rd time that I'm reading that book. It did add to the skills for me to be able to come from a place of more, who am I?
Yep.
I'm simply me. If you don't like it, there are thousands and millions of other people on the planet.
Yeah, so true. And that really resonates with for me with what you were saying about being a mentor and showing up and being okay with the work that we're doing and not taking responsibility for what people are taking away from you know, trying to fix it and make it I don't know, perfect, I suppose, get it right. And those are some words that I've had to align myself with and go, wow, isn't that interesting? My need to get it right. And that no longer drives me today, because now that I know that, and I have that self-awareness and that understanding, and I know more about myself, then I can be more me, and I can go, this is what I have to offer the world. And some people will love it, some people may not, but this is it. So when I have my sessions with people today, it very much is about, again, I'm really listening. What is it that you want to achieve? Okay, we've got this time frame together. My goal is to champion you, to take you from there to achieve this goal by the end of this session. And then when we wrap it up in a bow, what did you take away from that? And then I know within myself that I have done what I was put here to do for that session. I've given I've mentored people through it, and it's this beautiful, it's this cross section, is this tapestry of my life so far, with everything that I've done, everything that I've experienced, as well as then going and spending a lot of time reading the books, taking the courses, so that I'm able to have the models to be able to help people to work through their stuff. And so it's not just saying, this is the way I did life, and if you want to have the results that I have, then do what I did. It's about also honoring their map of the world, and really being able to say, this model may work for you to have your own experience. And then stepping away and allowing them to have that experience.
And then when you step away, because this is the paradox there, when you step away, what does that do for you?
For me, when I leave it in a bow rather than carrying it with me, look, it's a real freedom, because it's about, I love all my clients so much, and I want them to move forward. I want so much for them. However, it's not my responsibility. So when I take the responsibility off my clients and make it about me getting it right, saying it right, doing it the right way in my mind, which is just my map of the world, then I'm actually taking away from my client's ability to have their own journey. And so to be able to respect their space and say, this is, these are the tools, this is the gift, take from it what you will. And so then to be able to step away and know that I've done what I needed to do in this space. And always, after every session that I have with anyone, I would go outside in nature, and I stand there for about 5 minutes and just breathe in nature, which is just the way of just aligning everything and just letting it go.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, what do you think are the benefits of when you think of the two combined keywords in this session here that we've chosen, mentoring and balance? What would you say as a wrap up of what we've spoken about, what you gain, what you do, what works for you? Maybe give an example of a client. What are the keywords here for you?
Yeah, look, with mentoring and balance, they can be two really elusive ideas. And as you said, everyone is a mentor. And today I really see people as gifts in my life. Everyone is there to teach me something. And what I know today is that when I feel that resistance in my belly, I know that I'm doing something that's going to take me away from my balance, and that my balance is not someone else's balance. And what I know today is I couldn't do it without the mentors that I had in my life. I couldn't see me. I could only see my way of doing life and my ideas about how life was supposed to be. And then I got to have that experience of, doing life my way. And in some parts, it didn't work for me. So to go and find mentors and Di, you were the first one to give myself permission to be a learner and to start on that journey to find my balance, rather than just running through life thinking I had to be a certain way and do certain things. So I to become authentically me, to learn how to run my own race, I needed people to show me the way. And trying, we can spend 20 years doing it ourselves and running up against brick walls, or you hear the story of someone who's gone before you in a certain area and you go, yeah, I resonate with that person. And you go and find your balance for that area with that person. And they are one of the stepping stones to help you turn your stumbling blocks into your stepping stones to go where you want to be, and not to just be busy in life doing more. It really is. Balance for me is about being.
And I think, wasn't that program that we did, that I ran that many years ago, did I call it the mission program?
It was the mission program. And I absolutely love that. It's about having your own mission. And the one thing, I'll just quickly tell the story because I love this, was it was all about, there was one session that was about finding your purpose. And so what you'll find is that when you stand up and you start talking about your life and what your purpose is, you think it is, other people are going to be hearing that and they hear something completely different to what you're saying. And so I was standing up and doing this, and then everyone just turned to each other and they burst out laughing and they said, your purpose in life is fun. And I got really angry. I said, what? My mum is gonna, my mum's gonna kill me that I've come on this course to find out that my purpose in life is fun, because she could tell you that. And it was really funny. But what I realized was, and then what the group showed me, is that whilst my purpose in life is fun, and I'm always trying to throw fun into everything I do, when it comes to work, I was very serious. And I had to do things by the book and get it right. And so the thing is that with I have rentals and things like that, I was always very much by the book and Form A and B, etc., rather than just when it comes to time to do an inspection, going over there and taking a cake and maybe a pot plant and having a chat with them and putting a bit of fun into everything I do. And so still today, I know that my purpose in life, what I bring to anything, is fun and energy. And that's been a guiding force for me for 25 years. It's just that one word, is fun. Where is the fun in this? Because life can be very serious, but I don't have to be.
I get it. And I don't have to be. And I used to be fun. And I think that mission program 25 years ago, I would never have guessed it was 25 years ago. But all I wanted to do, I can remember when I created that course, is, gee, now I know how and where I'm going. I've got to teach this to people.
Yeah.
That's all I was doing at that point of time. As the years have gone, of course, it's grown bigger as to, well, then how do you get to where you're going? Well, you need values. You actually need to do some values work, and fun is one of your values.
Yeah.
And once you start to extrapolate that out, and you can start to see, well, where do I have fun in my life?
Yeah.
Where do I not have fun in my life?
Yeah.
Where do I want to have fun in my life? And that adds to how you're going to go about your mission.
Yeah.
And of course, now maybe it's evolved. I used to mentor a guy in New York, in Manhattan, when we lived there. And he always used to say, Di, I'm not evolved for that. Don't talk about that yet. I'm just not evolved. But by the time we left, he would say, Di, I feel like I'm evolved now. I can listen to that. I can be more aware about that. I'm willing to go there. I feel like I'm more evolved. He was hilarious.
Yep.
But it was because he could then start to put some words around what was important to him, what were his values and what he needed.
Yeah. And those really then become the guiding light. And that was the great thing about your program, was it was about balance and using the tetrahedron. And it was tetrahedron. Yeah. And about all the things that fit underneath there to give you that stability in your life. And what I love about the simplicity of that program, very, very powerful, is the fact at any time, like with my business and with my businesses, I can end up getting really busy because I love my work. I'm passionate about it. And I start creating programs, but then the programs take on a life of their own. And suddenly I've got this big business and big life, and I've got staff. And then suddenly things start going out of balance. And the great thing about having the tools that I've had as a lifelong learner in my life is to be able to recognize it. And I tell my clients this all the time. You know, I may be a coach, but I'm still human.
Yeah.
And I will take myself places, but then I can bring myself back. And so like this, you know, about reinventing ourselves to be the person that we want to be. Right?
Every day.
Yeah,
every
absolutely.
day, every minute. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can change just like that.
Exactly. Change takes 2.5 seconds. And it takes 2.5 seconds to change back again.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it's again, so with my business, seeing the balance, you know, my child is now 6 years old. And the person I was when I started the business, he was a baby. He slept a lot. I had more time. So now my focus has to be more on my child. So again, the energy levels and the balance has shifted. So I needed to shrink my business to not be so big and expansive, but still to be able to have my clients. And what do I love doing? The one-on-ones, the speaking, so that I'm with my clients and really having that interaction. So I've just cut out all the other parts of the business that take me away from it, all the online programs and all this sort of stuff. I'm just not doing at the moment. And I'm doing things like, I've got my first multi-author book is launching on the 14th of June, which is all about intuitive seeing your truth, which again is about my journey. And so I'm doing that. And I've just shrunk down my business again to make a decision about what's important to me. Where do I want to be right now? What is the gift that I'm wanting to give the world, and be present for my son? So my priorities right now are my spiritual well-being, which is just about what's going on inside me, the internal game. How am I running? As well as my physical well-being, as well as my son. Those are my three priorities. Those are my three missions that I want to be the mum that he needs me to be rather than who I thought I needed to be. Very important distinction. And to be able to run my race with those three things as my criteria. And so then everything, the business and everything is just secondary. Everything else, apart from those three things, is secondary. And with that as my guide, I'm able to then have balance in those ways, and also to help my clients to see that they can just park things for a few months or 6 months. And then what would happen if you just parked something and wasn't so busy? What would you experience?
I love that. And I parked my online business for a year while I was helping to bring up one of my grandsons.
Yeah.
Just parked it. And I've come out the other side going, I feel like, and I actually did a live about this maybe 2 months ago, coming to you as a brand new person.
Yeah.
I have experienced something that I would never have had the chance to experience if I hadn't stepped up and gone, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then went into a whole new space for my daughter and myself and this new little baby that it's like, oh my gosh, I'd forgotten this. Oh my gosh, this is how they do it now. Oh, where am I out here? I'm about to speak something, but I don't need to speak it. It's not my space anymore. You know, that whole, and I think that's why I've changed my work now to be more motherhood and mentoring in business. And what does it really mean to be able to transition from one logistical activity to another logistical activity?
Yeah. Yeah. And so that you can have fun.
That's all there is, really. It's otherwise it's so boring. I find it so boring.
I know, because I know that, so, you know, when everything is distilled down, we're making money, we're doing what we do so that we can have meaningful experiences. And the only time is now, the only time. And I know that a lot of parents end up missing chunks of their children's lives because they're so busy doing and making money so that one day that they will have time to spend with their children. There is only today. And that is a lesson I had to learn. You know, the grief I had around losing the really connected time of almost a year of my child's life because my business just got too big and he became an inconvenience. And the grief that I had around that was the driver to put a pin in my online business. And again, me coming out the other side once again, and my business looks different now. It just looks different. And again, I'm a new person, exactly as you're saying, because it's I've got my mojo back, I've got my joy, I've got everything back in balance. And sometimes we just need to step back and just say, what is important here? And who do I want to be?
Really going back to basics, isn't it? Where are you going? What are your values? What are your needs?
Yeah.
And then being aware. It's not actually that complicated, but it's very complicated because we have all these expectations and people asking us to do things, and people are very opinionated now compared to what they were 30 years ago, 40 years ago. People believe that they have the right to tell you their opinion, whether you've asked for it or not.
I know.
And it's like we live in a very, very different world. And I think that we need these skills. It's human upskilling that is so important. And I think that that's why it's just taken off, that we have all these online programs to go and do, so people can take all these skills from and take what works and what doesn't work, so that we can be more emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with all of that, I do think it's important that check for you if the person is the right person for you. Just because a course is $27 doesn't mean that it's going to give you what you need. What are their skills, their background, their life experiences that means that they will be a mentor for you? I mean, I had a client just recently who has been offered to pay $6,000 for a course that promises her all this, that, and the other. And I've actually sent her the link to exactly the same course, which is a 3-day course, and it's free. She's going to find exactly the same information, which is about setting up an online course that you can get for free, and by a really reputable organization. And so it's we get all of that information out there, that it's like, you've got to buy this and you've got to do it our way, and the more expensive it is, the better it is. And my whole point on that is, do they resonate with you? Do they have something that genuinely you feel that they can help move your dial forward the way you want it to go, not the way you think you ought to go to be the right person in society that's going to do the stuff that's going to take you away from who you truly are. And I think that's really, really important, and to show up for yourself.
And yet the other side to that is, I have a mentor right now who I didn't like at the beginning.
Yeah.
But he had the experience. He has the rungs on the board. He's not young. And so I wanted what he has. Yeah. I've got what he has, and I've learned to love him. But at the beginning, he didn't resonate with him, but I wanted what he had.
Yeah. Yeah. And
can you separate yourself from, okay, am I really clear as to why I'm paying this $6,000 or $5,000 or even spending my time, but it's free? Am I really clear as to what I want? Where am I going? Where am I going to be putting that into my life?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, because the one thing that is very important is often the people that you resonate with, because you wanted what he had. Brilliant. When we often connect with people, we feel connected, we feel in rapport with people. What often happens is because they're just like us, which means that we've probably already got the skills that they're offering. We just like them. And so it's often, for me, I know today, is about finding the yin for my yang in whatever area that I am wanting to move forward in. And so that is what I'm very specific about, because I know if it's an area of health, I know specifically what it is that I'm wanting to achieve there. And the clearer I get, then the more I'm able to find the right mentor for me to take me forward. Because I've got mentors I've got a spiritual mentor who I've had for 16, 17 years. And other mentors I've had at different times. I'll have them for 1 or 2 years for a specific thing for my business or for a specific thing for my health. But I'm always ready to find the right person who's going to move me forward.
And I think that that's one of the keys. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to encapsulate what we've said today?
Oof, we've said so much. So
We've been
it
lots of
really
places.
is. It really is. You are a mentor and a role model to people in your lives. So what are you putting out there? Is one thing. But also, look, give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to let people tell you the truth, and give yourself permission to run your own race and find the person and the mentor for that area of your life that's actually going to help you get balance, your balance. And it's not about doing more. It's often about what can I take off and stop doing so that I can be more present, be more available, be more loving, be more connected, be more, don't do more.
I think one of the things that I always put on my quotes is we're not human doings, we're human beings.
Yeah. I use that one too. Yeah. I might have got it from you.
Yeah, because I got it from Buckminster Fuller. He used to say it. It's written in his books. We're not human doings. We are human beings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love
Francine, thank you so much for coming in here. Thank you for bringing your energy. Thank you for bringing your experience. Thank you for thanking me, because as mentors, we need that feedback as to, did it work? Did it not work? Where are you 25 years later? You know, did it make an impact? And I got a beautiful email yesterday, and it's the daughter of one of the girls that I met in Mombasa in Kenya, Africa. And she said, I've been following you, but my mum said that I wasn't able to write you an email yet because I wasn't 17. Now I'm 17. I turned 17 yesterday. She told me this great big story. And so now please register me so that I can get your emails, and please send me to some more information about your work. And I just thought, wow, that's so beautiful. It makes it worthwhile. It's good to hear that, you know, what is the good and the bad and the ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I think you're really good at doing that. You really are. I don't think I'm as good as you when I think about, am I able to take that feedback from mentors? Yes, I pay them. I respect that. That's what I expect from them. I often don't respect the feedback from somebody just willy-nilly. I'm very intolerant because I will sit back and I will judge, do I want to take this piece of feedback or do I not?
Yeah. And nowadays, and I've flipped that for me. And what I love is take the gold and leave the rest. So whatever it is, especially if I feel that in the pit of that stomach, pit of my stomach, when someone's telling me something and I don't like it, I'm like, isn't that interesting? What is it? What button of mine are they jumping on? Is it my worthlessness button? Is it the I don't reject me button? I'm not good enough button? Because we all have buttons. And which button is that? Yeah, and isn't that interesting? What's the gold that I need to take out of this? Or do I need to not take anything? Because
was there no button pressed?
Yeah. And just to be aware and just go, isn't that interesting? Rather than I'm not good enough, or they're not good enough, or, you know, I'm not happy with them, or whatever it is. You know, my first thought, I have no power over, but what I do about it on my second thought, absolutely. And what I choose today is to know that, you know, I'm a work in progress, and I'm interested in me today. And it, you know, initially, many moons ago, I was only interested in you, the faceless masses out there, you know, to be, you know, what did you think of me? Because if you valued me, then I was of value. And now today, I value me. And if you value me, that is awesome. And if you don't, I still love you anyway.
Beautiful way to end. I think that's, you know, and the word value there is so big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Francine, thank you very much for your time, your energy, your experience.
Thank you for having me on. And I love you. I love you. I love you.
I love you. Thank you very much. And I'll see you in real life soon.
Yes. We've got to do lunch.
Bye for now.